My life started in a small agricultural town called Hatch, often referred to as the chili capital of the world. The town itself has a population of around 2,000 people, so it was the type of town where everyone knows each other and there's a sense of community. Being that the town was so small, my high school graduating class of 2017 felt like a family. But after graduating in 2017, I had to start over and find my comfort zone once more. I applied to NMSU as it was the closest college to home and I was accepted. However, the thing that worried me about coming to college was how to pay for everything. Thankfully, I had the scholarships to pay for school. Now, I just had to maintain my grades. While I started off great, I began to let my grades slip and I felt like I was in a downward spiral. Soon enough, I felt like I was always trying to catch up with everything. No matter what I did, I felt like I was going to lose my scholarships. The more the semesters went on, the worse I got. I was worried that my biggest fear would come true, which would be losing my scholarship. I had shuttered myself off from the world, which meant limiting time with my friends and family. I convinced myself I was a failure. I had failed my mother, my family, the teachers that helped me get through school. It was like my world fell apart. No matter what I did, it never felt like enough. Soon enough, I had reached my breaking point, a point of no return. No one just decides to start planning how they will take their own life out of nowhere. For me, it began with telling myself that I was not good enough, and this thought snowballed into something much more. This single thought infected my mind, and soon I found myself hating everything about myself. Nothing I could do was good enough for me, which led to only more harmful thoughts. I was a failure who could not redeem myself. Spring break of my freshman year finally arrived, and it was time to end my suffering. After taking the weekend to come to terms with what I wanted to do, I decided it was time. That Monday, I grabbed my rifle, told my mother I was going to go shoot some targets like the many times I had before, and I left hearing what I thought would be her final words to me. Be safe. I love you, Miko. I'll see you when you get back. This is the spot where I chose to end my life, a spot where I knew I would eventually be found. Knowing that relief was a mere trigger pull away, I looked up into the sky, wondering what awaited me. Certainly, a failure like me would not be let through those pearly white gates. I was not worthy of anything, even living. I did not even bother to write a note. I just wanted it to fade into existence and end what I was feeling. Remembering my mother's last words snapped me out of the moment. I fell to my knees and began to weep. How could I let myself get to a point where I would take away her only pride and joy? How could I be so selfish to take away her only child? All sorts of thoughts and emotions hit me at once, and I wept for what felt like hours. What stopped me at that moment was my mother's love, and after I pulled myself together, I knew I had to give this life one more shot. After this experience, I chose to step up and ask for help when I needed it. I wanted to tackle my biggest stressor, which were my grades. I went to study sessions when I could to better understand the material I was struggling with. I went to my professor's office hours to ask questions I had. Little by little, I saw my grades improve as well as myself. I began to have fun again with friends, family, and doing things that brought me enjoyment. By the end of my first year of college, I felt good about myself. I eventually began to focus on my mental health and talk to counselors, friends, and family about how I was feeling. I developed healthy habits and practices for when I felt my mental health was on the decline. I promised myself to never think again that suicide is a reasonable solution, no matter how bad the situation is. Voltaire, a famous French philosopher, once said, "The man who in a fit of melancholy kills himself today would have wished to live had he waited a week." I will be forever grateful for the friends and family who helped me recover from my suicide ideation, as since my freshman year of college, life has been pretty amazing. This is why I choose to share my story, as I hope it helps others come to terms with their own mental health battles. I realize now there is no reason for me to be ashamed of what I went through, and that by telling my story, I can help others get rid of the shame they may feel. To finish this conversation, let's talk about what we can do when it comes to discussing mental health. The most common response to this is seeking counseling, which is a fantastic option. However, since I have experience with visiting a counselor for my mental health, I will say that it does take a bit of mental preparation. You must be ready and comfortable to open up, which can be difficult. Before taking a big step like going on counselor, there are little things we can do for one another that can help with mental health. Doing something as simple as creating a safe space for someone and listening to them can go a long way. If we do more of the little things for each other, like just checking up on each other, it can make all the difference in the world. This also helps break the negative stigma surrounding the topic of mental health and normalize the idea of speaking about your feelings. So please, go out there and find someone who's willing to listen to you. Give your thoughts a voice and find someone who will listen.